If I could have everybody's attention, I would like to call the September 17th meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Education to order. I would like to welcome, I think it's Boy Scout Troop 200. We're so glad you're here. We always love when Boy Scouts come and they're interested in what goes on in the government. And if you have any questions when we get through, we'll be glad, any of us will be glad to answer them, or even something later. We all have emails that you can find on the website. And we will be glad to help you out any way we can. We're glad you're here, guys. Next, we're going to have the invocation and pledge, and I think that's Kristen.
Please bow your heads for a moment of silence. Salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have before us an agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. A motion by Tom and a second by, was that you, Nancy? By Nancy. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, first on that agenda is recognitions with Mr. Joey Perkle.
Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to be able to recognize folks in our system for the wonderful things that they do. And we have several of those this afternoon, so we'll go ahead and get started with those. Our first recognition comes from Lambert High School, and this is the Lambert High boys and girls golf team. Both of these teams won the GHSA state championship a few months back. And even in addition to that, the state championship, Lambert also received the Georgia High School Association Directors Cup, which represents the top athletic program in the entire state of Georgia. So first of all, to recognize the boys and girls golf team, we'd like to thank the girls coach, Mr. Posey. I'm not sure if he's here. If he would, come forward. And any girls, can you come with him? Can you come down? And if we have any boys golf team members here, our coach is, their coach is Mr. JGCD. I'm not sure if he's here, but if you all would come forward so we can recognize you.
Graduated.
Do what?
They graduated.
They graduated. Okay, good. Well, that's a good thing. That's a great
better
thing.
things.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. Now you got to strive for that back to back, right?
Yeah.
Back to back.
Great job.
Congratulations.
And we certainly like to recognize Lambert's athletic director, Mr. Ferrer. So we appreciate him and his leadership for the athletic programs at Lambert High School. Also, I'd like to make mention that the girls golf team, this is their third year in a row to win this championship. So we're really excited and proud of them. Good job. And if we have anyone here that's here to support these folks, would you please stand so we can recognize you? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Okay, good. Thank you.
The coach just says you have the entire team back this year.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, great. That's great. Great. Well, thank you. Congratulations. Our next recognition goes to North Forsyth High School, the JGCD program. This program has once again been selected to receive the Marine Corps Reserve Association Award. And what this means is that the cadets are considered to be the best unit in the entire Southeast. The North JGCD program has won this award also for 3 consecutive straight years. And I know that student Alex Peacock couldn't be here, but he was the highest ranking cadet in the MCJROTC program, and we'll be, certainly we recognize him. But we also have Haley Hubbard, I think, who is going to accept that award for him. We're going to talk about her in just a minute, but we'll ask Haley to accept that award first. Thank you. Congratulations. And while we're talking about Haley, Haley was also selected to receive the Legion of Valor Bronze Medal. This is the highest award a cadet can receive, and only 4 of these medals are awarded nationally. So that's a huge accomplishment. We're really proud of that. Congratulations to Haley. And I know that Haley has some folks here to recognize and to support her. So would you stand so we can recognize you? We would also like to thank Major Kelly. Will you please stand so we can recognize you for your leadership in the JRTC program? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Great leadership. These folks have done some wonderful things, and I know that Mr. Cheney is very proud of them. We'd also then like to recognize Forsyth County Schools Health Services Facilitator, Ms. Connie Trent. Ms. Connie Trent was recently awarded the Excellence in School Nursing Award at the 2015 National Association of School Nurses Conference, which was held in Philadelphia. Ms. Trent was one of only 11 nurses in the entire United States that was presented with this prestigious award. We're grateful for her expertise, her constant support of our school nurses, and she's truly a visionary leader who is extremely devoted to the welfare of our students in our school system. So we're happy to recognize you, Ms. Trent, for your great accomplishment, and so if you'll come forward so we can recognize you. And not that I'm trying to take any credit or that I would ever be boastful, but I actually hired Ms. Trent, so.
That's a credit, right?
He did.
He did.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, at this time we'll have our Superior Performance Spotlight. So we're going to turn the program over to Dr. Valerie Lowe for our world language update.
All right, good evening. We wanted to provide you a little bit of an update and a Superior Performance Spotlight together of what we've been doing with our World Language Department over the past year or so with our work. Certainly, you know, we've looked at the learner profile as we were developing it, and everything that came out of that and strategic planning talked about our students being able to compete in a global work environment. So we've really tied a lot of what we're doing in career and technical education with our world languages and what we're doing in the classroom to make sure that our students are aware of the opportunities available to them and the importance of them being able to communicate and just compete and excel if they want to or choose to work for international companies. The languages that we offer in our school system are Spanish for native speakers, French, Latin, German, and Russian. And I included this a little bit. I know several of you have been involved in a lot of this work that we've been doing around global initiatives in the community and around the state of Georgia, but just to see how we're tying this together, certainly you know about our German influence in our pathway that we're doing down at South High with manufacturing, same thing with French and our culinary arts programs, healthcare and Latin being tied together. And then several of our teachers last year, I think it was last year, 2 years ago now, worked with DOE and the CTAE to actually define and develop sample units that teachers could use in world language classrooms to better interrelate and to show students exactly what they're doing, how this relates internationally to what they could be doing later in life. Many of you participated last year at the end of the school year in the spring when we had our Georgia Skills Initiatives. Forsyth County was one of 2 school systems that hosted this last year for the Georgia Department of Education. And that included a business roundtable, which I know a lot of you were there that day. A lot of international companies in Forsyth County. The Chamber of Commerce was helpful and supportive of us pulling this together. And then the evening, we had over 100 kids that participated in world language competitions. And again, Forsyth Central High School hosted this. Their department chair, along with others in our district, helped that evening, and we're looking to repeat that again this year for the district. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Robinson, and she's going to kind of give an update and an overview, and really what I wanted her to share some experiences that our students are having traveling abroad. So she's going to kind of pick up from here.
Hi, thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Lisa Robinson. I teach Spanish at Lambert High School. And we just ran some numbers for you so you can get an idea of where we have our enrollments. As you can see, we have over 10,000 students currently enrolled in world language classes here in the district. How do I make it go? Okay. This summer, about 35 world language teachers got together and wrote new curriculum. We're aligning our curriculum to some new resources that you provided for us, and we very much appreciate that. We're working very much to keep our middle school and our high school alignment together so that the students that are earning credit for Spanish 1 in the middle school are doing well at the Spanish 2 in the high school. We developed common pacing guides, common assessments, and lots of extra materials, and we're continuing that work. You can go into It's Learning and take a look if you'd like to and see what we're doing there. And we tried to pilot the use of Google Docs because we know that we're moving in that direction, and so we've had quite a bit of success and feel very technologically proud of ourselves for that. We are also working with the Sinaco company to upgrade our language labs and get some additional training to continue using those resources. This past summer, I was fortunate to be selected to attend the Global Student Leadership Summit. This was sponsored by EF, and we have our EF representative here with us. Rebecca Kubin is here. I was chosen to represent Forsyth County, and there were maybe 10 or other Georgia teachers that were there and got to go to Davos, Switzerland and participate in the Future of Education Summit. This summit was part of many teacher-led student trips that traveled around Europe and then met in Davos, and then the kids all got to hear lots of interesting speakers. And we have a short little video for you just so you can kind of see how beautiful it was. I strongly recommend Switzerland.
I do believe we all have remarkable talents, but a lot of people go through education feeling they don't. And I think it's vital that we redress this. We have to think differently. We have to think differently, particularly about ourselves, about our talents, our abilities, and our possibilities.
We're here in Davos, Switzerland at the Global Student Leadership Summit. We just came from a tour.
You guys have been all over Europe. Helsinki, London, Barcelona, Prague, Paris.
We're all here for the same reason.
You're going to work on design thinking with your team to come up with a solution for the future of education.
We've been participating together and creating something beautiful which will evolve into an actual idea and project at the end of the day.
Programs like this, Education First, are bringing together a great generation of young people who can begin to plan and collaborate and see ways of working together, because all the solutions that we need to forge are going to be collective ones.
So at this point, you're going to be coming up with as many ideas as possible. The more ideas, the better.
I got to see how other people with different mindsets would react to a situation, and we all got to learn a creative way to approach the situation together.
I think it's empowering them to use their voice and transform not only their lives, but other people.
I'm able to engage them in a way in which I can't in the box in which I teach. I saw kids that barely spoke in my classes come out of their shell.
Here you get to learn what you want, when you want.
It'll match you up with people based on if you're a visual learner, if you're a tactile learner.
Know that you have the power to change that which you cannot accept.
To see them be able to connect with one another and sort of learn from one another and establish connections across lines of difference has been really, really inspiring.
We are able to simulate how it will be in real-life applications of all the different subjects that we are learning in school.
What we've created is an environment where kids can learn through variety. This app is designed to give you the most control over your learning.
There are certain moments in your life where you will have to decide who you are. In those moments, make the decision from your heart and be bold. Your heart already knows what is best for
you. So I think what we're looking to do as world language teachers here in Forsyth County is to take advantage of these opportunities. I think student or teacher-led student travel is changing. We are partnering quite a bit with EF, looking for ways that students can be doing service projects, these kinds of global summits and things like that. And we're becoming very active in that. Currently, you can see we have quite a few trips planned for the near future. Lots of different things going on. And if you take a look at this, you can see we're looking at science focus, culinary arts focus, trying to meet all those additional meet with career tech and combine our resources and our expertise. So, and the state of Georgia has recently approved the International Skills Diploma Seal, and we are actively looking for students to participate in this. This is just a little bit of an overview of some of the things that students would be able to participate in order to earn that seal, and definitely looking at, there's some travel abroad portion, community service and things like that. So we're trying to branch out more from just being an academic subject into having more of an impact on their lives and on their futures. Any questions?
Lisa, I know that we've talked about, and we had foreign language in elementary schools, and there's a lot of discussion about how that's going to fit together, how we can make it happen, and how we can make it effective like it is in middle and high school, what the work that's been done there. So I don't know where that discussion is, but I'm sure that that's part of this whole big picture. And it's very interesting that the quotes in that film were exactly what Dr. Schofield was talking about the other day at the meeting about the innovators, the creative, the people that are willing to step out there and be bold, as that one young lady said, that those are the leaders and they're going to make the difference. And I think that in our county, foreign language has always been something that we know is such a crucial part to whatever we do in the CTAE or everything. So I just hope that we can figure out that elementary school piece that make it work for them.
That would be wonderful.
It would.
Thank y'all very much. Okay, at this time, we're going to start our business portion of the meeting, and I'll take a couple of minutes. We would love for everybody to stay, but if you would like to leave, we're going to take a recess for a couple of minutes, and you are free to go. Thank you for coming.
That's impressive.
So how long did it take for your eyesight to get?
I thought everybody takes worry right now.
Okay. That's good. And you know, I got about 4 things I have to put in this morning.
And it is true. It's something to go on in elementary school. We have
it has to be emergent.
Yeah.
It has to be emergent. Some of our work is don't get anything out of it.
You know, I mean, Carl.
Right. I don't say I think she because
you can't 20 minutes a day. That's twice a week is not enough.
I know, I just now even can't see like little teeny tiny things trying to make me crazy, but it's the first time it's happened in the last 2 years, and it's just, you know.
You've asked your questions, isn't it? That problem. And then he said, you can
Wow, I just can't.
Yeah, I think they're good to go.
I started noticing things in my life I've never had that. Yeah. Most people have it.
Okay, if I can have everybody's attention, we will continue. Next, we have our consent agenda. I'm sure everyone's looked it over and had any questions they had answered. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Tom and a second by Ann. I'm not picking up voices today. I can't tell who it was. Okay. All in favor? Unanimous. Do we have any public participation? No public participation tonight. And next, we have presentation and discussion items. And for the last time,
Do we stand?
I say the finance report by Mr. Dan Jones.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dan, we're going to miss you. You've been a big asset.
Well, I'm going to miss it.
And we all, we all feel so good with you because we know if Dan says it, it's so. And you've been a huge part of Forsyth County school system for a long time, and we understand, but we are going to miss you.
Well, thank you. I will miss it.
I'll miss my Auburn buddy too, my goodness.
Well, we may not miss that.
We're trying to weed those out. 27 years in your current role, correct? Correct.
A little over that.
That's awesome.
But I will miss Forsyth County, I'll miss everybody, and I just want to say it's been great working with y'all as board members and Superintendent Bearden. I'm going to miss that, but be different. Okay, tonight, this is the report for the month ended August 2015. We start the month with $26,334,000. Our receipts for the month were $18,335,000. And our expenses for the month were $18,256. For accounts payable, payroll was $12.4 million, and we had to transfer $2 million from the general fund to debt service because there wasn't enough money in that account to make the debt service payment that was due in August. Once tax money comes back in, we'll reverse that. So at the end of the month, we got $12 million at the end of August. So we're getting kind of...
Yeah, which is exactly why we needed to put that money back into the reserve funds.
That's correct. The budget revenues, you can see right now we're only a little over 9% in revenues. And if we divided it equally, the expenses and the revenues would be right about 17%. So you can see we're running behind on the revenues. Expenses overall, 17, almost 18%. And again, this time of the year, the first month that school started back, some expenses will hit in August and September that even out over the year. But you can see that all areas are pretty close. A little more detail on the revenues, you can see ad valorem tax, we haven't even collected 1% of what we budgeted. So it's another reason that our cash flow is kind of low right now. The other areas are about where we would expect them to be, and you can scroll through each division and see that everybody is, right now it's kind of early, but they're all in line right now. And again, a list of all the checks that we write. The school accounts, all schools reported this month. You can see that elementary and the middle and the high school, and the total in those accounts is $6.5 million if you add them all together. Sales tax, we collected $2,928,000. That is down a little bit from last month, less than 1%. But as you can see, it's we're still growing over the previous year. It's up 3%, a little over 3%. That money is invested. We earned $4,272, and there's currently $30,980,314 as of the end of August. This is what it looks like, this round of sales tax. It's kind of flattened out. It's not much growth, but hopefully that will pick up next month. And June was which came in July, was the end of the third year for sales tax. So what I wanted to do is show you what this looks like. You can see the green is 15 and the red, or whatever color shows up, is 14. And you can see that every month we have grown more than the previous 2 years. So that's a good indication that sales tax is recovering and getting to be about where we thought we would be. It's grown 11% from the first year, and it's grown 8.6% over the FY14 numbers. So that's just to give you a little visuals of what it looks like. The 14 bond, that's money is invested. $8,504 in interest was earned, and we're down to $53,592,000. We're starting to spend that money down, so we're going to be looking at selling the remainder of that bond issue pretty soon. There's a little bit of money left in 07, and it earned $866 in interest, and we're down to $5.7 million in that one. In the 05, I think we'd earned 76 because we spent it down to, I think there's $5,000 left there. and just keeping that as the final closeout. Capital projects, you can see that the 07 and the 14 bond are the biggest amount of monies that we have available. And the debt service. This is the SPLOST account and what's in our checking account. So there's a total of $32,656,000 in debt service. And that's the financial report. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you,
Dan.
Okay, next we have policy BCBD, board meeting agendas with Mr. Joey Perkle.
You want a standing ovation?
No, probably not. This is a new policy. It's a requirement from the state. Every year there's a document on eBoard for all the required policies. School systems are required to have specific policies. This was one of those, and so it's a new policy. It's very short and simple. But it's the board meeting agendas, and it's BCBD. It reads, a tentative agenda with appropriate information shall be prepared by the superintendent in consultation with the board chairperson. This agenda, as approved or amended at the beginning of each meeting, shall govern the order of business for the meeting. Electronic agendas shall be made available to the board prior to the meetings. So anyway, like I said, it's a new policy, so we'll lay on the table for 30 days. We'll come back at your regular board meeting in October to ask you for approve it. Jennifer, I think, puts it on the website for public input. And then, of course, between now and the meeting, if you have questions or comments about the policy, certainly you can email me about that, and we can address those and go from there.
Okay, all righty. Thank you very much. Okay, and then the CTAE workforce development site visits with Dr. Valerie Lowe.
We've been discussing this for quite some time, certainly with our recent months' efforts and our work around our career academy planning and future planning. It's recommended that we take some time to go visit several models for workforce education, career and technical education. And again, as you all know, we're working on Denmark High School right now, and we're also working on the Alliance Academy for Innovation, just what that should look like, what the facilities will, how they will replicate the current work environment. You remember when we had our last accreditation, we were encouraged to look nationally at other models to reach a little bit higher for our school district, as well as propel certainly the initial recommendation that we seriously consider looking at a school closely aligned with our technical 2-year and 4-year colleges. Part of this process, we turned our grant in on Friday. Part of this process certainly is community involvement. It's part of this process and business and industry involvement. As we're designing these labs, no different than Denmark or any other school that we model for CTAE, we have a lot of close connection with business and industry, sitting down with them with our lab design. Tim Amerson and the facilities department help with that process, but that's very important for us to make sure that what we're building is truly a model of what they feel like it should be. So I've proposed 4 different options for us. Some are in-state and some are out-of-state for those of you that would want to go consider. One that has been recommended to me over and over again is in Lexington, South Carolina. We have a date secured to come there October the 12th. Henry County opened the Advanced Studies Academy. We're supposed to get a date from them this afternoon, but they haven't gotten us a date back for October for a visit there. The Golden Miles College and Career Academy, the Lieutenant Governor each year has a business and industry summit. That particular summit's going to be down in Brunswick, November 5th and 6th, so several of us are going to plan to go to that. Tours of the facility will happen the morning of the 6th. And then the Academies of Nashville in March have a really full self-study guided tour, which really is a good opportunity for a team or a group of community members and educators to come together and really put a lot of infrastructure and a lot of time in developing what the curriculum and programming would look like. So that's a lot more professional development focused, but it does include a lot of tours of the models in Nashville. So those are the 4 suggested areas that I think we may want to go look at. And so if you guys want to discuss what your interest level may be in these, but we just want to let you know what our plans were as we work on upcoming facilities.
So it sounds like, do we have a fair amount of staff going to the academies of Nashville? Because that sounds like where they should be going.
Yes, we have a few. It's more of an intense professional development focus of really looking at standards, looking at what models are available in terms of professional development for our teachers, what we're going to be looking at are from our teachers in this type of model. So that's a little bit different, very much a self-study for what we're trying to do. They do those several times a year, but they fill up very quickly. So we jumped ahead and got several. I know Fonda's planning on going, Debbie Smith, myself, I think Dr. Bearden. So there's a lot of interest there to really start putting some infrastructure behind our plan for the Alliance.
Great. I think we've all talked about learning and being exposed, and I think if we could go to at least some of the others and tour, the staff development stuff was way out of our, to be able to see, especially, it lets
it was fairly,
it is an investment because it is them helping us really build our plan behind, what we're going to do in terms of curriculum. So
I think we want to learn, but I think the staff would be better suited for that.
Yeah, and that's very true, but I can also remember in the years past when we've done the Slepke Center, it was with staff, and we also went with them. Yes, and so it helps you understand better what they're going for and what they're looking at.
And I included links to each center, and the link to Nashville kind of gives you a little bit more information about that particular program, but there's links to all the centers there, so if you guys want to just communicate to Sandy or to me, and we can figure out what
maybe we can look a little bit more, and then maybe you and Dr. Bearden could talk about, like, particularly for that one, sticking in my mind, whether, if any of us, some of us, what, if anything, versus the other ones.
What about the October 12th one?
That sounds.
I was thinking that, we usually have a fall retreat, and I was thinking we might go up, that's on a Monday, I think, and we might go up that Sunday, and we could, if we have things that we need to talk about and discuss, to have a board retreat Sunday and then go tour Monday, if everybody could do that. I didn't know if that was possible.
That would work for me, but
It is my anniversary type time of year, but I could do the following weekend. It's around, not that date, around that time, but I probably could do it. It probably could work.
So in other words, you might want to just come Monday?
No, I meant I'll celebrate my anniversary on the other end of the week. It's fine.
Okay. Well, y'all just think about that, and if that's something that everybody could do, and also, if you've got things that we want to go over, if you'll just maybe send it to Sandy, and she can kind of put all of our coordinated all together and let her know which ones you want to go to.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other questions about them for Valerie?
No.
I would just say, again, I would encourage you to go to these links. There's some really good information on these sites, which will help you decide which ones that you might want to attend.
It's so exciting. You want to see it all, really, because, it's so exciting.
I've talked
to know
about
we
this
got
for
it going.
at least for years, ever since I've been on the board, trying to find the right place. It's exciting. It's the right time.
All righty.
Thanks, Valerie.
Okay, now we have our action items, and we have Dr. Marty Bray with Houghton Mifflin Harcourt contract. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
We call it HMH.
Okay, well, why didn't you say that? HMH. I knew there was an acronym for it.
Right, there's always an acronym for everything.
There is.
I have technology acronyms and education acronyms in my head, and sometimes they fight with each other, but anyway. So what we're asking for is, we've been working for quite a while actually with HMH to get our textbooks into a digital format, and this request would cover that, basically K through 12, plus we're getting digital content in the areas of biology and Algebra 1. And so would ask that you all approve the purchase of those materials for the coming school year or this school year. And then we will look closely at the company and their performance and decide if we want to renew again for next year. So.
Yeah, and I would just add, this is a joint venture, obviously. Technology, teaching and learning has been heavily involved. And we had conversations with the vendor about the length of contract, and all of us were more comfortable only entering into a one-year agreement. We want to make sure that they get it right and it meets our needs. And also, it helps to put a little pressure on the vendor to make sure they're providing really good customer service as well before we consider something more than a year. They, of course, would have preferred we went longer, but we wanted to make sure we had a chance to really check it out and make sure it was what we wanted. So with that, I would recommend approval of this contract with HMH.
Do I have a motion to approve the recommendation? Second. A motion by Tom and a second by Nancy.
I have one question around, will these be hosted by the vendor, or will we get the content loaded in our LMS?
We'll get the content loaded in our LMS.
Okay.
Is the cost based on us per student? Is that how they come up with this dollar amount? Or is
Yes, it's based on FTE count.
Okay.
Yes.
And are they publishers of the hardback that we use
currently?
So they're also the publisher as well?
Yeah, what's happening in the industry is that they're shifting from print-based to digital. We wanted to go ahead and make that shift, and so we're taking all the content and just going straight into a digital format. There's going to be a training aspect to this, and that's our next step in this, is to talk with the company, do what we're calling a train-the-trainer model. So somebody from HMH would come in, get a select group, a small group from T&L and from the technology side, and then we would go out with that training from HMH and do that out in the schools, so that all the ITSs and the media specialists would have that training, and then they can not only deliver the training out in the schools, but act as support personnel for the implementation of the content as well.
That's a good idea.
So,
Great. Yeah.
any more questions?
Any more questions? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous? Thank you very
all
much.
very much.
Thanks, Marty.
And next, we have the FY17 State Capital Outlay Contract with Mr. Tim Emerson.
Good evening, everyone. What y'all have before you is the fiscal year 2017 State Capital Outlay Funding Contract with application with the Georgia Department of Education, and this is for the Denmark High School facility. We've submitted an application proposing to build the 109 instructional units, a little bit bigger than what we had done for Lambert, but basically the state will contribute $23,969,296 to the process of building Denmark High School. If I could ask for a recommendation to approve.
Recommend approval.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. A motion by Nancy and a second by Ann. Discussion, questions?
Yes. I know, Nancy, you had some questions or concerns. Do you want to
Well,
start?
I had just, when I was looking at the charts, I was looking at some numbers, which I was talking to Dr. Beard, and my numbers really were off. Could you explain a little bit about, like, it looked like it was going to be opening full, and I started realizing, well, we're not opening with seniors, and maybe those numbers, again, logistically, you know, where Denmark's, or, you know, situated and everything. Could you just go into that a little bit? Because I think some of what my realization was not correct.
So you're talking about our proposed...
When we first opened, right. When I looked at the chart of the enrollment projections and all.
The enrollment projections, of course,
really,
yeah, and the enrollment projections, we do carry all 4 grades just as if they were
Right,
moving in without
right.
the grandfathered 12th grade moving in. So that number
Okay.
does reflect a full school. We realize by the time we go through districting that the 12th grade number will come down, but then we'll pick it up the following year again.
So what do you see the number at like opening it with, realistically, not, because it's built for, what, 2,100?
Yeah, 2,100 with the 2 additional units we add in there, and I believe the last time we ran numbers, we were somewhere in about the 1,500 to 1,600, what we'd really be opening with, and then jumping back up in towards about 1,800.
Okay.
And that was kind of our first look we did last year with those numbers as they were rolling up and what sort of district areas we think we could pocket to carry to that school.
Another thing that is also very confusing to me is when you're saving, you have these seats, like you know, there's a certain number of seats you go for, and like you're applying for this, and like if we take 2, say we did build it bigger and got so many more seats, and all of a sudden we said, okay, now we need east sooner than we thought, just east as an example because we have that land, and all of a sudden we say, uh-oh, we used the money over here, and we really needed the seats at East. Would you explain that a little bit about, again, about how the seats, how this works?
The state does a forecasting, and basically they look at our FTE changes over the last 3-4 years, and each of those changes, they come into an average of how many students will grow. So we'll continue to grow new FTE students in their projection as we go to 20, 21, 22, further out.
Does it matter where they're located when you're going to the state, or is it more?
No, it really doesn't locate it, but of course the balance of empty classrooms and seats at Denmark High School will be counted against the total need that we would have at the high school level.
Okay, so if we went to East.
And each of the levels are elementary, middle, and high school.
Right.
That you would earn the FTE and the future seats for.
It's kind of like when we had 700 empty at Central. If we come to build East and we've already put Denmark and we do end up with empty seats, that we go, uh-oh, sorry, you're out of luck.
You don't
because
get money, but
You don't get money if you have extra
count.
classrooms.
Okay.
You know, this is, you know, what other schools had witnessed too, is they had numbers pushing them to build more schools, and all of a sudden, as that enrollment been stagnant and declined, and they had a lot of empty seats, and they were not earning state funding for future projects, and then actually had some schools that they had to consolidate. So, and that's always the balance is, and we'll be earning future FTE as we go out for the 6th year out, 7th year out, as we keep growing, and those will be populating in the next round of new school construction or additions, modifications, as we've done in this last round at North, South, and Lambert Central. So.
The topic you were talking about, how they kind of, if they see we have spare seats here, and yet we are over full here, and they basically say, well, until you use up all your spots, you can't do more. That's that one topic we're talking about, and we need to get back to it. It just got on the back burner for a little bit with the Senate, where they had the report that said, Gwinnett was the case study they used, where they're Gwinnett being in the same situation we are, where they're crowded in the south, but they have spare in the north, and they're frustrated because they want to build in the south, but the state says, you got empty space, but you can't redistrict from the south to the north. You can't. So that's that topic that we got, you know, when everybody gets their heads above water, we got to get back on that and get back to the state, because the state Senate subcommittee said, this isn't right. Y'all need to have the autonomy to say, we know we need it here, we need to be able to build here. So that's one on our to-do list, and I got to say I need to get back on that, so that we can get over that hurdle. That's a frustrating thing for us.
Developed the facility plan, which was presented as kind of the basis for us going into the 2014 bond. We really did not even look at expanding South Forsyth High School. It was Lambert and North were the two major expansions to capacity. But South really wasn't on our radar map to expand to full capacity. We were able to gain enough as we looked at that addition, being able to accommodate more classrooms, and brought us up to that 2350 number we're looking at now. Because we just didn't know what was going to fit in the puzzle yet. So again, we're trying to hold that little area of the southwest corner to kind of say, with the pockets that we see still on the rise in the southeast area, and the big gains we see coming along the west quarter, are we going to need it in the southwest area at West Forsyth High School? I'm not sure what I will go back and do at South Forsyth High School at this point. I think I've used every piece of real estate to expand that school, but it could be. But you know, that was our concept going into the bond program, was to have those schools all at about the 2,100 capacity, then look at the next bond program, where do we need to go to next, and not overshoot.
Well, I guess that's kind of where my question is, because when we were going through the bond process, we had met with facilities and Superintendent Evan at the time, and we were concerned about the amount of the bond, we were concerned about size of the school, and at the time, and then we got into the facilities planning process, and when it came up with West High, because initially they were to get an addition, and that got cut due to funding. And then with Denmark, it was like, well, let's see what happens. We're too far out with enrollment to see what goes on, so we'll think about doing it at the larger size, like Lambert will now be. And it was like, well, let's wait till the spring, or actually January, to see the enrollment numbers. And then in January, it was like, well, let's wait to see what really comes in, because we don't have to apply yet. So then, my understanding, I think, did I miss some numbers or something along the way, that we were going to get information on how much it was going to cost to do Denmark both sizes. and say, okay, this much or this much, and then, and tie that to the enrollment numbers. And then we would make a decision. And when I see this final thing, to me, I never saw that. I never saw those two different numbers. I never saw the discussion, and the decision's been made. It's already been applied for, and so we're getting the smaller size school.
And again, this is what we have to guarantee and commit to the state when we make this application 1st of August is we knew we were committing to the 100, as Stern's at 109 units, 2,100 students. We have an ad alternate, which we can look at if at the time the pricing comes in for the bid contract, and we just got the design development budget back in. So we do have a 20 classroom addition that is part of the program with Denmark High School. And we will get a price on that when we put that out to bid. And then at the time we come back to tell you there's a general contractor to build Denmark, and for this much more, he could build the 20 classrooms. Now that would be locally funded. We still bank our money to carry ourselves into the next projects for high schools.
So when will that take place?
The project is set to go out for permit reviews in January. We'll probably have the first documents out on the streets late February. We'll have pricing back in March, and we'll probably be back here April of 2016 asking to award a contract. So about March, April, we'd look at having that contract to y'all. But again, the local addition, the 20 classroom addition will be a locally funded, and we do this with many schools. We don't have the state participate in every new construction project. So we would be able to come back and say for this much, we can build the additional 20 classrooms. We could expand Lambert High School Denmark High School to the 129 instructional units or an FTE of 2,500.
All right, I guess I was confused because in the contract it didn't talk about the add-on addition, and it
No,
goes on to say.
we can't put the state on hold if we will or will not accept a 20 classroom addition.
But it says in there that Darla has to sign, and it says that none of the projects will require substantial modifications or additions prior to the completion. So that seems contradictory to me.
No, we can locally, we can't change this contract once you get signed. We will be funded for the 109 instructional units the state recognizes for Denmark High School. We cannot amend this application once it goes to the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget and becomes part of what they're going to fund come next spring with the general legislature. This document can't change. We can't ask for 129 classrooms. We can only ask for 109.
But that doesn't stop us from building whatever we want to build.
No, that's two different things.
Yeah. Vickery Creek Elementary would be a great example that we built. Vickery Creek Elementary, and before the paint was dry on the front wing, we already had an addition on the back side of that building going up before we moved in. We moved in with a new addition finished at the same time.
Probably no one knows the numbers better than you do. I mean, just looking at what's already, it's not even a matter of zone, it's already coming out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
There's 369 homes just directly across from Denmark, like right there. There's 500 apartments at the venue. There's 300 apartments at, this is all on McFarland. 215 at Park, that's already done. Roca Point, 619, 430 apartments. Deerfield, 843 homes, 700 are apartments. Taubman, 875 if they ever really come. Taylor Morrison, 55. Tidwell, 45. These are all on the other side of McFarland.
On the zone side. The venue, for instance, is still a stubbed in street, hadn't been built. The water zone next door to it is being built.
But the actual dates, if you actually, they already are selling, they're already building them, they're selling them. All these are opening in 2006. I've talked to every single developer, like Roca Point, for example. They intend to be done. They're shovel in the ground, done in 16, 17, and done in 18. All of these are to be built prior to Denmark opening.
Well, then we can talk about it next April about whether we want to do the extension or not when we're talking about redistricting.
That's right.
All right. Well,
there's nothing we can do about this contract. This has to go as it is.
Yeah, the contract, like I said, is all we can guarantee to the state as of August 15th when we submitted this for their review, make sure everything matched up. So the additional 20 classroom is a Forsyth County local school option to accept in the general contract award or not.
And that's our choice in that we're using the allotments that way. If we have the students now and could have qualified, we could have applied for that larger size.
Yeah.
And thus we could have received state funds.
But again, we have distributed the available FTE for our future projections. We've already had them allocated for this project, the 2,100. We do have some that we have started banking, as I like to say, for the Alliance Academy. We can actually earn money and be able to do an application next August as a possibility for the Alliance Academy. So those are things we're looking at ahead of the future. And of course, the Alliance Academy of Innovation is a fairly new project on our radar screen for what we're talking about, facility expanding. But we've identified that will be able to absorb 1,000 high school students. Therefore, we're making arrangements in our planning process to account for those 1,000 students and a possible FY18 application to the state for that facility.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank
You good? Okay. Oh, we need to vote, don't we?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to,
You already-
no, I already got a motion. All in favor? 4, all opposed? 1. Kristen? Okay. And now we have points of information.
Thank you. Just 2 items I just wanted to report in your packet. We have the first month enrollment. We ended up 1st of September with 44,197 students. And again, testimony to Mr. Amerson's ability to project. He had projected we'd be at 44,193, so he was off by 4 students, which is absolutely remarkable. And so thank you for all you do, Mr. Amerson. You do a great job. Also wanted to say I started my first round of school visits for the year today. I was out at Daves Creek Elementary, and kids were working on Constitution Day assignments in 2nd grade, and they knew a lot about the Constitution. I was very impressed. That was great. And I also wanted to just, again, thank Valerie on Friday. She drove down to Atlanta to hand deliver our application for the specialty school. It had to be there by 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. She got there at 4:58, or close to it.
With traffic, you never know.
But we got it in. We got it in under the gun. And I will say, as we talk to folks around the state who have applied for this before, typically you get from your community around 12 to 15 letters of support from businesses and industry. By the time Valerie took the application down, we had over 80 from Forsyth County. The synergy around this project is remarkable, and the support from all over the place, business, governments, everybody all in on making this thing happen. So you can't guarantee anything, but we feel like we have a very strong application, and certainly Valerie deserved a lot of credit for that. She did a lot of work to make it happen, so thank you.
All righty. We have no further points of information. Do I have a motion to go into executive session for personnel?
So moved.
Second. A motion by Tom and a second by Ann. All in favor? Unanimous.